The Fate of the Etheric Double After Death by Annie Besant, read by Dave Marsland of Cardiff Theosophical Society. The Fate of the Etheric Double After Death. The etheric double is the ethereal counterpart of the gross body of man. It is the double that is sometimes seen during life in the neighbourhood of the body, and its absence from the body is generally marked by a heaviness or semi-lethargy of the latter. Acting as the reservoir or vehicle of the life principle during earth life, its withdrawal from the body is naturally marked by the lowering of all vital functions, even while the cord which unites the two is still unbroken. The snapping of the cord means the death of the body. When the etheric double finally quits the body, it does not travel to any distance from it. Normally, it remains floating over the body, the state of consciousness being dreamy and peaceful, unless tumultuous distress and violent emotions surround the corpse from which it has just issued. And here, it may be well to say that during the slow process of dying, while the etheric double is withdrawing from the body, taking with it the higher principles, as after it has withdrawn, extreme quiet and self-control should be observed in the chamber of death. For during this time, the whole life passes swiftly in review before the ego, the individual, as those have related who have passed in drowning into this unconscious and pulseless state. A master has written, "At the last moment, the whole life is reflected in our memory and emerges from all the forgotten nooks and corners, picture after picture, one event after another. The man may often appear dead, yet from the last pulsation, from and between the last throbbing of his heart and the moment when the last spark of animal heat leaves the body, the brain thinks, and the ego lives over in those few brief seconds his whole life. Speak in whispers, ye who assist at a deathbed, and find yourselves in the solemn presence of death. Especially have ye to keep quiet just after death has laid his clammy hand upon the body. Speak in whispers, I say, lest ye disturb the quiet ripple of thought and hinder the busy work of the past, casting its reflection upon the veil of the future." End of quote. This is the time during which the thought images of the ended earth life, clustering around their maker, group and interweave themselves into the completed image of that life, and are impressed in their totality on the astral light. The dominant tendencies, the strongest thought habits, assert their preeminence and stamp themselves as characteristics which will appear as innate qualities in the succeeding incarnation. This balancing up of the life issues, this reading of the karmic records, is too solemn and momentous a thing to be disturbed by the ill-timed wailings of personal relatives and friends. H.P. Blavatsky says in the Key to Theosophy, "At the solemn moment of death, every man, even when death is sudden, sees the whole of his past life marshalled before him, in its minutest detail. For one short instant, the personal becomes one with the individual and all-knowing ego. But this instant is enough to show him the whole chain of causes which have been at work during his life. He sees and now understands himself as he is, unadorned by flattery or self-deception. He reads his life, remaining as a spectator, looking down into the arena he is quitting." End of quote. This vivid sight is succeeded, in the ordinary person, by the dreamy, peaceful semi-consciousness spoken of above, as the etheric double floats above the body to which it has belonged, now completely separated from it. Sometimes this double is seen by persons in the house or in the neighbourhood, when the thought of the dying has been strongly turned to someone left behind, when some anxiety has been in the mind at the last, something left undone which needed doing, or when local disturbance has shaken the tranquillity of the passing entity. Under these conditions, or others of a similar nature, the double may be seen or heard. When seen, it shows the dreamy, hazy consciousness alluded to. is silent, vague in its aspect, unresponsive. As the days go on, the 5 higher principles gradually disengage themselves from the etheric double and shake this off as they previously shook off the grosser body. They pass on as a 5-fold entity, leaving the etheric double with the dense body of which it is the counterpart, thus becoming an ethereal corpse, as much as the body had become a dense corpse. This ethereal corpse remains near the dense one, and they disintegrate together. Clairvoyants see these ethereal wraiths in churchyards, sometimes showing likeness to the dead dense body, sometimes as violet mists or lights. Such an ethereal corpse has been seen by a friend of my own, passing through the horribly repulsive stages of decomposition. A ghastly vision, in face of which clairvoyance was certainly no blessing. The process goes on, pari passu, until all but the actual bony skeleton of the dense body is completely disintegrated, and the particles have gone to form other combinations. One of the great advantages of cremation, apart from all sanitary conditions, lies in the swift restoration to Mother Nature of the physical elements composing the dense and ethereal corpses brought about by the burning. Instead of slow and gradual decomposition, swift dissociation takes place, and no physical remnants are left working possible mischief. The ethereal corpse may to some extent be revivified for a short period after its death. Dr. Franz Hartmann says, "The fresh corpse of a person who has suddenly been killed may be galvanized into a semblance of life by the application of a galvanic battery. Likewise, the astral corpse of a person may be brought back into an artificial life by being infused with a part of the life principle of the medium. If that corpse is one of a very intellectual person, it may talk very intellectually, and if it was that of a fool, it will talk like a fool." This mischievous procedure can only be carried out in the neighbourhood of the corpse, and for a very limited time after death, but there are cases on record of such galvanizing of the ethereal corpse performed at the grave of the departed person. Needless to say that such a process belongs distinctly to black magic and is wholly evil. Ethereal corpses, like dense ones, if not swiftly destroyed by burning, should be left in the silence and the darkness, a silence and a darkness that it is the worst profanity to break.